U-1105 Black Panther, Fate and Legacy. This is a purely historical documentary narrative. It presents no ideology or propaganda. An unseen hunter in the Atlantic. April 27, 1945. In the icy North Atlantic off the coast of Ireland, 3 British frigates patrol under a cold, moonlit sky. The war in Europe is nearly over. None suspect that a deadly predator is lurking below. Little do the crews realize that tonight's events will become part of naval history. Deep underwater, a German U-boat lies motionless, silent as a stalking beast. Her hull is clad in special rubberized armor that absorbs sonar. This stealth has earned the submarine the ominous nickname Black Panther. Tonight, the hunter has chosen her prey. The torpedo attack. At 2100 hours, a dull roar shatters the stillness. From beneath the waves, U-1105 unleashes 2 new acoustic torpedoes. The British frigates never see them coming. 50 seconds later, a furious explosion tears through the water. A torpedo slams into the stern of HMS Redmill. Flames and thick smoke erupt from the ripped-open hull. Moments later, the second torpedo hits. Redmill is mortally wounded. Her stern is blown away, and the bow starts to sink. About half of her 64-man crew are killed or thrown overboard by the blast. The survivors scramble on deck, stunned by the sudden violence. Nearby, the second frigate, HMS Rupert, sweeps the sea with searchlights. But the real enemy has vanished. U-1105, the Black Panther, slips silently back under the waves. Commander Hans-Joachim Schwartz orders a crash dive. The submarine plunges to 100 meters to escape the counterattack. Depth charges and silence. Above them, British depth charges begin exploding. Each detonation tears through the water and rattles the submarine's hull. Inside, lights flicker and instruments jump wildly. The crew reacts instantly, blowing ballast tanks to halt their descent. The gauge swings down 100, 150, 174 meters. Finally, the U-boat slams onto the cold ocean floor. In total darkness, the men hold their breath. Every engine is silent. Only distant thuds echo from above. Pressure and cold press in on the hull. It creaks ominously under the strain. Some sailors whisper prayers, others squeeze their fists until their knuckles turn white. Every man knows that even the slightest sound, a bolt shifting, a pipe groaning, could give them away. Hour after hour, the attacks continue. For 31 straight hours, British frigates and aircraft crisscross the area, dropping depth charge after depth charge. Still, the Black Panther does not move. She lies perfectly still on the seabed, just as a panther lies silent in the brush. Eventually, the enemy grows exhausted and withdraws. At last, the hunt is over. The battered HMS Redmill is later towed back to port, but declared a total loss. Her stern is torn off and the hull is crippled. Of her 64 sailors, 32 have died in that single blast. The survivors will carry memories of that night forever. Surrender at sea. The Black Panther has survived the hunt, but the war above is ending. On April 4, 1945, the crew of U-1105 receives new orders. Germany has surrendered. Gross Admiral Dönitz has instructed all U-boats to surface and lay down their arms. Relief and disbelief wash over the men inside. They have beaten the odds to live through this much. Now they must surrender without a fight. In a bitter twist, U-1105 is told to surface to the very British ships it attacked. On the 10th of May, the submarine breaks the surface at a designated point off the Scottish coast. Under Allied escort, she steams into Loch Erebol. Dozens of other U-boats are there, disarmed and waiting. The crew of U-1105 clambers onto deck with bowed heads. It is finally over. The men feel strange emotions, pride for having survived and sorrow for their fallen homeland. They think of the grim numbers. Nearly 41,000 German submariners went to sea, and about 28,000 of them never returned. roughly a 75% casualty rate. Against those odds, the Black Panther's crew is incredibly lucky. Not a single sailor from U-1105 has died in the entire war. From prize to experiment. After surrender, U-1105 is towed to Lisahally in Northern Ireland. There, the British transfer this unique submarine to the U.S. Navy. American officers know they have something special. U-1105 was launched on 20 April 1944 from Emden, Germany. She is a Type 7C/41 U-boat, an advanced variant designed for long Atlantic patrols. The Black Panther's greatest secret lies in her hull. During construction, she was clad in an anechoic rubber coating under the ultra-secret Project Alberic. The name comes from a Wagner opera. Alberic could make himself invisible. 2 layers of special rubber tiles cover the pressure hull. In theory, this makes the submarine almost invisible to Allied sonar pings. On the test range, this invisibility proved promising. In practice, however, the Atlantic made it hard. Stormy seas and salt water tended to tear the tiles off over time. Many U-boats lost pieces of their rubber skin in rough weather. Amazingly, U-1105's coating holds together. During her April 1945 patrol, her sonic stealth worked. It helped her slip away from British ships. The crew embraces the mystique. They paint a leaping Black Panther wrapped around a globe on the conning tower. Now the submarine had a name and a symbol of her own. Innovations of the Black Panther. U-1105 carried other cutting-edge gear as well. A retractable snorkel mast let her run diesel engines while submerged so she could stay underwater for days. In her bow, she carried the latest electric torpedoes and a load of acoustic G7's homing torpedoes. Modern hydrophones and radar warning systems helped her detect enemy ships early. In many ways, U-1105 was a prototype of the next generation of submarine, technology arriving just a bit too late. Even so, she proved lethal. The sinking of HMS Red Mill on April 27, 1945, was one of the last Allied warships lost to a U-boat in World War II. The dangerous crossing. In late 1945, the U.S. Navy tows U-1105 across the Atlantic for study. The 16-day voyage is a nightmare. A fierce storm strikes. On the 4th day at sea, a towering wave crashes over the submarine. U-1105 nearly rolls over. Part of her conning tower is torn off. Water floods inside. To survive, the sub must continue on the surface despite the hurricane. Crewmen scramble to keep her afloat. The radio mast is ripped away, cutting off all communication. For 10 days, the submarine sails blind, unheard. Inside, one diesel engine catches fire and the other dies. Men in the cramped engine room battle flames and fumes as they desperately save their prize. At last, the battered U-1105 limps into Newfoundland, where a U.S. tugboat takes her in tow to Norfolk, Virginia. By then, most of her rubber skin has been scraped away by the ocean. Still, enough remains that American engineers are eager to inspect it. By early 1946, naval scientists, including experts from MIT, are examining the Black Panther. They test the leftover rubber fragments and run sonar experiments. Even though much of the coating is gone, the remaining sections teach them a lot. The Americans realized the Alberic concept was ahead of its time. In decades to come, similar anechoic tiles will become standard on nuclear submarines. In this way, the Black Panther's legacy swims on into the Cold War. The final chapters. The Black Panther has one last mission: to be destroyed. In 1948, the U.S. Navy uses U-1105 as a target for new anti-submarine weapons. This becomes her final chapter. On 29 September 1948 in Chesapeake Bay, depth charges are detonated around the hull. The submarine groans and floods, then sinks into the shallow bay mud. Surprisingly, her pressure hull mostly holds together. In 1949, the Navy raises the submarine for one more test. On 19 September 1949, she is towed up the Potomac River near Piney Point, Maryland. A powerful new Mark VI depth charge is placed under her keel. When it detonates, the blast is cataclysmic. The hull is ripped open along every seam. In about 20 seconds, the submarine tears itself apart and sinks to a 28-meter depth. No one notes the exact wreck location. The Black Panther slips beneath the Potomac's murky waters and vanishes, a ghost of war left at peace. Rediscovery of the Black Panther. 36 years later, the Black Panther's story comes ashore again. In the summer of 1985, recreational divers led by U-1105 are mapping the Potomac River bottom near Piney Point, Maryland. They spot a huge wreck just a kilometer from shore. Covered in silt and mussels, the submarine's hull is badly rusted, but the number U-1105 is still faintly visible on the bow. News spreads quickly, and the wreck is nicknamed the Black Panther of the Potomac. The discovery draws interest from historians and archaeologists. In the early 1990s, under the guidance of the Naval Historical Center and Maryland's Department of Natural Resources, an underwater survey is carried out. Researchers map and document the wreck, confirming its identity as U-1105. In 1994, the remains of U-1105 are declared Maryland's first historic shipwreck preserve. The fragile submarine is now protected by law. Recreational divers may still visit it, but only with a permit and under strict rules. A mooring buoy is anchored above the conning tower to mark the site. Today, at depths of about 15 to 18 meters, the upper hull of U-1105 rests on the riverbed. Its stealth rubber coating is long gone. What remains is a rusty steel hull riddled with holes. The outline of the conning tower and torpedo tubes is still visible. Inside, sand and silt fill the compartments. Fish, crabs, and other river life move through the open hatches. What was once a weapon now serves as a quiet underwater memorial and museum. For recreational divers, the Black Panther has become a rare and famous wreck to explore, attracting enthusiasts from the region. Legacy of the Black Panther. So ends the remarkable saga of U-1105, the Black Panther. Born at the very end of World War II, she delivered a deadly blow before the war was over. She survived fierce battles and emerged undefeated in combat. In the end, however, she surrendered not to enemy fire, but to those who would study her. Today, her remains lie in peaceful silence on the riverbed. To some, the wreck is a silent monument to a bygone era of submarine warfare. To others, it is a precious historical artifact that still speaks. Her story is one of technology and courage in the twilight of World War II, of sailors who went to sea knowing their odds were 1 in 4, of innovations that came too late, and of legends that rise from the depths. Even now, resting silently on the riverbed, the Black Panther reminds us of that vanished era. In the gentle flow of the Potomac River, the Black Panther sleeps on, a final testament to a time when the fiercest battles were fought beneath the waves.